So I have a new figure, and this is the Mezco 1954 Godzilla as part of their Kaiju collection. I ordered this on April 9th, 2023. So we are almost precisely 3 years since I ordered this. That's a long wait. I ordered it for a Big Bad Toy Store for $145. It's now still available, listed $155. So I saved about $10. Um, this figure, so the only other Godzilla line that I collect is the Bandai, and I've heard a lot of people say you need to try out the Hayo. Even if Hayo does turn out that their quality is now better than um, Bandai's SH Monster Arts, I'm not planning on buying it because I just don't want to get into a new one. But I am a big Mezco fan, and thought I would give this one a try. The big difference, well, there's a couple big differences between this and the SH Monster Arts figures, and the biggest is that there are no seams on it. So this is very much in line with their other figures, which is you don't see the joints. The only joints you see on here are the wrist, because the hands, there are three sets of hands. No hand comes on the figure, and let me tell you something. So I can, when before I put this on, um, there I could see in here, and it was metal, so it pegs into the metal frame inside here. It was so hard to get these hands on, and the scary thing was that in trying to push them on, I'm like going like this, and I was afraid. I was putting so much pressure on it. I was afraid I was going to tear the uh, the covering on here, the rubber covering. So that was really annoying, and I'll bet you this isn't even necessarily the hands that I wanted. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but I don't think I'm ever going to remove them because boy, were they hard to put on. So we have a couple other sets of hands here. So we have some closed hands, and then more open hands. But like I said, I don't think I'm ever going to switch the hands out because they were so hard to get on. So this figure is similar to the 1989 Batman figure, the one with Michael Keaton, in two ways. Number one, that figure took so long to arrive that I thought they just canceled it. And it was I was starting to get the same idea with this figure that they may have just canceled it. Um, and when I got the figure, I was rather disappointed. And I know a lot of people were not happy with the 1989 figure. So it was squishy with a metal frame in it, and it was really, really squishy. And so I did watch I generally don't watch other. I mean, I do watch some, but other figure sites. Before I get my own figure, because I don't want to be like swayed and repeat what anyone else has said, or um, and the person was talking about how squishy this Godzilla figure is. So he may not have ever experienced like the 1989 Batman. And I know that Mezco has done at least one other figure with the metal skeleton over a rubber covering. This is not that bad. This is not like the Batman that really, so I was prepared for it to be super squishy, but the hardness in here is pretty close to the surface. So it doesn't really bother me. I would have rather maybe the spines would be not rubbery. There are a few parts on here that are not rubbery. The tip of the tail is actually not rubbery. From here back is hard. The lower jaw is hard. The hands are hard. The claws down here are hard. But all other than that, they're all kind of squishy. So you have this metal frame skeleton in here. So none of the joints show. So that's pretty cool. The the articulation is really crazy stiff. Um, so again, I don't want to tear parts in here, so I don't want to put too much pressure on it. You can lift the shoulder up. I, it feels so close to the surface. I feel like I'm going to tear through here. and like there's maybe some solid points in here that could rip through. So I could not get it to swivel around. Um, it's, yeah, I mean, the articulation is really limited. I always say that about the SH Monster Arts figures, about how limited the articulation is. But man, I mean, this is really, really limited. So, and as has been pointed out on other figures with the metal skeleton, if something happens to one of the joints, you're kind of out of luck, because unless you're going to tear this, I mean, this does not come off unless you slice it off, and you'll never be able to put it back on. You can't fix that metal frame, so just be careful about it. We have some neck articulation, but it's very limited, and maybe that's why they took so long. But mind you, there's never been another figure for the Kaiju Collective announced. So if it's a 3-year turnaround, I mean, I think this may be one and done. I don't know that they're going to do another one. They have other Godzilla figures, but none like this. None with the Kaiju Collective. None with the rubber covering. It's pretty neat. I mean, one of the things it can do that the SH Monster Arts figures certainly cannot do is it has enough articulation to curve the tail up to the spines. And the SH Monster Arts figures, the articulation in the tail is shockingly limited in what it can do. And I'm going to do a little comparison here. I own the 1954 SH Monster Arts figure, but it's boxed up, and I don't feel like going through all my boxes. So I have, in place of that, Burning Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Destroy. And you could see that there's just no... I mean, it's probably... The camera's probably exaggerating a little bit more than it actually is. This is about 6.5. This is, I think, about 8 inches. So you're talking about considerably more. And these figures are not cheap. These figures are... almost comparable in price to what you get here. So, this, I've complained a lot about the articulation, but the articulation here, I'm going to say, is better than in here. I'm sure I could crank this, if I wanted to. It probably does swivel, but the amount of pressure that I'd have to apply to it, I'm just worried that I'm going to tear something, or, this is... I'm not saying it's a fragile figure, and I don't know how much abuse it can take, but I don't plan on cranking it. I'm just going to leave it like this. I don't really care. As to the tail articulation, we'll do a tail of the tape. This is it. This is as far as it can go, whereas this... But that's just one piece of articulation. Overall, I would give the nod to Mezco, or I'm sorry, to Bandai, as far as the articulation. So I can weigh them. Let's see here. We'll start with Bandai Godzilla. This one weighs in at 11 ounces, 11.2 ounces. The Mezco one weighs in at 1 pound, 14.5 ounces. So this is way heavier than the Bandai. It's not that the Bandai figure is light. I mean, it feels like quality, but this figure is a lot heavier than that one. So we come with some extras, some gimmicks. The Bandai figures rarely have any gimmicks, maybe a few. So we have the atomic breath, which is weird because it's not really lined up with his head. I guess I could do it like that, but okay. So, all right, I guess that's how you do it, his atomic breath. We got a couple buildings. It was a black and white film, so they're using black and white, which is pretty neat. And we have another building. So you can make a whole diorama of it. We got 3 tanks. The tank treads don't move, but the turret swivels. And we get 3 of them. Probably about as detailed as the original models. We've got a couple guns. And we've got a jet plane, 1 jet plane. And the classic train, which you can see here, it's got some chomp marks on it, so Godzilla can chomp down on it like that. So it's pretty neat. I mean, I'm not disappointed. The box is enormous. I can't even fit the box in this. It's, well, maybe I can. It's easily the biggest box I've ever gotten from Mezco. So I'll use it as a little bit of a backdrop for a second. So that's the box. I can't even show it all because it's so huge. With my fixed camera, I can't show it. But the box is pretty big. It's also much bigger than any of the SH Monster Arts boxes I've gotten. So yeah, I don't regret getting this. Would I get another? I don't know. It would really depend. Like if they start, Godzilla raids again, if they did the Godzilla from that, or, I mean, it would take 1,000 years for them to, not 1,000, but it would take a long time if they were going at 3 years a piece. I think it's probably done. Because I would think that in the course of 3 years, they would announce a second one, but they never have. I ordered it pretty close to when they announced it. I really kind of wanted to get this one. It was an experiment. But probably the last one I get, unless they announce something else that's really neat. But I think it's well done. I definitely think that the whole idea of an exterior, a rubber exterior with a metal frame, is done much better in this than in the Batman 1989, which is one of the few. I mean, even though I'm a big fan of the film, watched it in the theaters when it came out, it's probably a regret buy. But this one, I'm going to say, is not a regret buy. Even though, I mean, I'd say the biggest problem is the articulation, which is practically nil, unless you really, really are not concerned about damaging the figure and just want to crank it around. This has got some, articulation there. It has instruction. It has instructions. I don't know where I put them. I didn't put them here. But it really doesn't. It just talks about the gimmicks and stuff. It really doesn't talk about the interior, the metal skeleton. I wish it did, because I think that would be kind of neat. But because I think that's one of the most interesting aspects of this figure. But that is the Godzilla 1954 Kaiju Collective figure, which is probably the last Kaiju Collective. But I guess we'll find out. Time will tell.